Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Van Chats. I'm sitting here with Kelsey and Mitchell. We literally just practiced me not screwing it up, and she's like, "Yeah, it's a tough name," and I literally just botched it. But anyways, she's a sprint world record holder, and she's from Canada, and she makes really funny videos, and that's why I like her, and that's why I follow her. But yeah, let's dive into it. So let's talk athletic background. Like, how did you even get into track cycling in the first place?
Yeah, track cycling. I knew literally nothing about it except for that it was in the Olympics about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I played soccer my entire life, university soccer, finished my post-secondary, and then kind of had a little midlife crisis. Wasn't sure what the next step in life was. And then I attended an event called RBC Training Grounds, and basically an Olympic combine where they test an athlete's power, endurance, strength, and speed. And then there's a variety of national sport organizations that can then see your results and then reach out to you if they want to pursue you in that sport. And so Cycling Canada was very interested, and they reached out and did some testing on me and then got me on the track and thought I had some potential and invested in me. And fast forward 2.5 years later and qualified for the Olympics. And yeah.
Geez, that's insane. Okay, so where do you like when you get that phone call? Like, I mean, because me, I was football player and wrestler. Like, if you were to tell me that I'd be wearing spandex and shaving my legs, a couple of years from then, I would have looked at you like you were nuts. So when you got that phone call from Cycling Canada, kind of like, what was your vibe? What were you feeling?
Yeah, cycling wasn't a sport that I did at all.
Yeah.
I played a lot of running sports, so the only time I was on a bike was if I was injured. I was on a stationary bike and I was miserable because I wasn't able to run or like play my sport. Um, so I mean, I went into this program like with a completely open mind. I was like, this is my last shot of playing sports at the next level and potentially going to the Olympics, and I was like open to anything. And so even having a sport being interested in me, I was pumped and jumped at the opportunity.
What was your goal in soccer originally? Like did you have was your goal to go to the Olympics?
My goal, I grew up in a place called Fort McMurray, and
Yeah.
it's not that small of a town. I don't know if you've heard of it, you might have heard of it, but it's 5 hours north of the capital of Alberta. So it's quite north in Canada. Anyways, my goal, I guess, was a little bit smaller, and I really wanted to play for the University of Alberta.
Okay.
That was my goal. And I accomplished it, and I was pumped about that. But I saw the Olympics, and I'm like, whoa, to play for Team Canada, like in soccer, would be so sick. But once you pass like 16 and you're not being seen or scouted, there's a very small chance that you'll make it into the national soccer team. So yeah, my goals were to make the University of Alberta team, and I did accomplish that. But once I finished, I was just hungry for more. I wasn't done. So
That's rad. And so now, not only are you possibly going to the Olympics, but you're going to the Olympics with a world record. Like, what did you even plan for that? Because like I remember seeing you come up through the sport, and it's funny, man. Like if you go to Canada to race, like if you're not from Canada, you go to Canada to race, you see these athletes who they're goofy or they're new to the sport and they're really eager and they're really hyped up. And then like 2 years from then, they're like gods. They're like track cycling gods. It's insane. And there was a junior, I think it's Chris Ernest. He's young kid. But I mean, I feel like I'm racing a grown man now. I think I was racing him when he was like 14 or whatever. And now he's insane. And so it's wild to see this. So like for you, I think I remember seeing you come to a few events. You might have even been at T-Town before you were like really cracking in, but like you were just there. But now you're freaking world record holder. So like, did you plan for that? Did you know it was gonna happen? Like, where did that come from?
I mean, did I plan for? I mean, I hoped for it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like
Going to
Ashton, like when we left the US, it was like I'm going to get a world record. Like I like with everything that I'm doing, like it's gonna happen. Or did you just rock up? It's like, all right, my goal is to qualify first, and next thing you know, you look up at the board and there's a world record on there. Like did did you see it in the data is kind of what I'm asking before you left Canada?
I knew there was a potential. We'll
Mm.
say that. I had competed 2 months before at Pan Am Games,
Yeah.
and so I had won, or I set the fastest time in the 200, and then won the sprint tournament. But I knew there were like both U.S. Sprinters weren't there, and then another fast Canadian wasn't there. And people were saying that yeah, Pan Am Games is huge, but Pan Am Champs is where you get all the points. So that's when people are peaking. That's when everyone's gonna come in firing. And I mean, I kind of have the mindset I'm going to go and do the best I can that day, and
That's
whatever
awesome.
happens, happens. And yeah, I went in and I set the fastest time, but I knew there was 4 or 5 more athletes to go after me who were potentially faster, and so I was pumped. I went and broke it, but then I was like, oh, it's a matter of time. We'll see. And then no one ended up beating it, and I still hold that title. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. It was
No,
a good
yeah,
moment.
that's super cool. So, yeah, so let's kind of dive into the team. So, like I said when we first started the podcast, like these videos that you're making are hilarious. Like I just think they're funny. They're pretty
Thank
well
you.
put together. Like, so what are you on the team? Are you like the team, like you the jokester on the team, like always happy, always ready to go? Or are you like super serious in training?
No, yeah, I'm definitely like the loud, more obnoxious, joking
Yeah.
around teammate, I'd say.
Has it
I
ever
definitely
gotten you into
toned it down a
trouble?
little. No, I never get into trouble. It's a board game, fun getting into trouble.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely, when I first came, like I came from team sports,
Yeah.
like all girls, but like loud, obnoxious. You know, you have the game or the pre-game playlist in the locker room. Everyone's just loud. And then I remember coming my first time and joining the sprint team, and like it was just like crickets. Like no one was talking, and like people had their headphones in and like locked in and focused. And I was like, this is gonna take some adjusting. But I think everyone kind of met in the middle, and like people are louder now, and like I play music out loud, and people I think enjoy it. And yeah, it's a different atmosphere for sure, but I've gotten used to it.
For sure. So do you get to pick your roommate on the World Cups? And if so, who's that roommate that you strive to have every time?
I don't get to pick. I get stuck with Lorianne Janae every time, but
Oh, bummer.
if I had to pick, yeah, I'd probably
So
go with her.
you just pick her anyway. Okay, because
Yeah,
that's
she
your
yeah,
co-star in your videos. I think. I feel like you gals could end up having a reality TV show on you two alone, because she kind of seems a little quieter, but you bring it out of her, it seems,
yeah,
which
yeah.
makes it awesome. And so yeah, I just love it. And so one question I have is like when cycling ends, do you think you would do this like content video thing more often? Or do you think you're just gonna go into like adult boring life?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Everyone is kind of like, "What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan?" And I'm like, my 5-year plan 3 years ago was to get a job and figure out the adult life, and it completely changed. And I'm just like so happy with how my life is right now that I like can't think
Yeah.
past it.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. So so diving into that, and then I guess like, coming into now, like what's your goal? So in theory, 2021, we hope you go. Selection still has to happen. I mean, it's pretty chaotic right now. I mean, as we talked about before, it's like even the athletes don't really know what's going on. I doubt even the Olympics really know what's going on, even if the event's going to happen. But what's your goal at the Olympic Games? Obviously, I'm assuming that you want to go for gold, but what's your set out goal for the Olympic Games?
No, yeah, I want silver. I think silver is what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Yeah, the extra year for me was a blessing. Being
Yeah.
late to the sport, I was just always playing catch up. I feel like I still am, but I gained an extra year to like just be on the track and training and like learning how to ride the bike and be more efficient and stronger in the gym, everything. So my goal initially going into 2020, when the Olympics were still happening, was to get on the podium. And now going into hopefully 2021 is I want to be on the top step. So um, every day I think about it, and in my mind the Olympics is happening, and that's just how it is in my head. And if it doesn't or something else happens, I'll deal with it when that comes. But right now the Olympics are happening and the goal is to win a gold.
For sure. So like with just with like COVID and everything, like, I mean, I'm assuming you guys have found out about it and then you guys are being really smart, not letting any of us crazy Americans in, especially right now with everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But like, what's the COVID atmosphere like over there? Like, is it kind of back to normal? Like, do you think it'll ever hit a sense of normalcy, or how is it over there?
We're hitting that second wave that they were
Uh,
all predicting. But like we have our bubble, like the sprinter bubble, like we all live here. We don't travel around at all, really. I mean, we'll go home at Christmas and then probably have to isolate for a few days or something when we come back. But everyone's really good. You know, we're all wearing masks. We all hand sanitize all the time. And the area that we're in is pretty low for COVID. And so we're just trying to keep it that way.
for sure. So like you guys, so it's literally like the only people you see all day is the sprint team, pretty much.
Yes. I work with them. I live with them. They see us. We see each other at our best, at our worst. It's just a weird little family that just works.
Never mind. I'm pitching a new reality TV show. It's literally just going to be called the Canadian Sprint Team House.
Oh, yeah. It could be good. It could be good.
Yeah, because I could see like you bullying Hugo like trying to like confide in your other roommates, and yeah, it would be perfect. I think MTV would love the pitch. But
just to clarify, I get bullied. I am not the bully. I
really
take the abuse 100%. Yeah.
Why is
Just
that?
so you know.
Because you're so
I
new
think I
to
take
it.
it well. I think I take it well. I think it brings people it brings people together. Everyone, even if they have nothing in common, they can all mutually pick on me or bully me in some way, and it brings everyone together. Everyone's laughing, and it's it's a good
I was
time for everyone.
yeah, you said that, and it was almost like you were like slowly starting to turn into talking to a therapist. It's like, yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Hiding the tears.
Yeah, no. And now we'll cut so she can dry her tears. No, seriously. I used to be that guy on the team pursuit squad. I think I still am that guy. They can always find fun in picking on me because I'll just take it, and then it gets turned on to somebody else, and then somebody else ends up getting mad, and we have to shut it down for a little while.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we just always got to rein it back in. Rein it back in. All on John. All on John.
Yeah. Take all the abuse.
No, so that's cool. So past that, like what, and you know, I know we just talked about your 5-year plan and this and that. Like, do you have goals for 2024 too? And like and what does, you know, what does that look like? Do you think you're going to go to, you try to shoot for Paris?
That's the plan. Yeah.
Just kind of keep
Yeah.
going as
I'm
long
gonna do
as you
this
can.
as long as I can. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right on. And so are you ladies like also working with because like Canada seems to be really good with their development squads, and not, I don't know how to put this. It almost seems like the parents really buy into it too. Like they are trying to get as many of the juniors together, like even like a group of parents is just trying to get like 10 juniors in a pocket to be like, all right, like all you guys are going to train together like a national team. And then that way it kind of folds in. Like, but are you ladies like, because it's like it's 3 of you girls, right? The sprint
Yeah.
team. Like, are you guys helping the younger generation up through any of this, or like, do they have you guys involved at all? Because like with us, they didn't have us involved at all. Like it was like a separate program. Like I didn't know any of the kids. It would have been cool to like help a little bit, but yeah, we never really got
Yeah.
asked or offered.
Like it's tough right now with like the bubbles in COVID. Like they're
Yeah.
trying to keep everyone pretty separate. But like going through the RBC program, there are athletes that have come through and are interested in cycling, or cycling's interested in them, and they do show a lot of potential. And I guess it just like it's already happened. Like an athlete has gone through that program, learned how to ride a bike, and was successful with it. And so I think they see that and they're able to know that it's possible. And then I guess hopefully in the future they'll be able to bring them in and train a little with the national team, because like that's how I was brought in. Is I showed a lot of potential and they let me do a month on the track with the team, where I really shouldn't have probably been there because I was like messing up everyone's warm up and just had no idea what I was doing. But like I learned so quickly, and it really helped in the long run. And so hopefully soon that we'll be able to bring some more in.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so kind of diving back into that RBC program, because it seems like that's where a lot of the talent comes from. Were like, did the conversation ever come up like did you get a choice? Was it like, hey, you can either be a sprinter or you can be an endurance rider, or it was like, hey, you're a sprinter, like enjoy?
Yeah, I came from soccer, and like I ran a lot. Like my endurance was decent, and so I was thinking endurance, and I kind of let myself go a little, not let go, but like I still like to. I was an athlete who liked to eat and party, so
Yeah.
I yeah, I wasn't built for an endurance rider at all. I wasn't really built for a sprinter either, but there was definitely more potential in that. So yeah, it was strongly encouraged that I did sprint, and I'm happy that I did.
Yeah, you seem to figure out like pretty quick if you want to ride at a high level, like partying while cycling is not a good time at all.
No,
I don't know why that
no,
is. Like I feel like you can handle it in just about any other sport. I feel like when I was playing football, when I was wrestling, like there was a sense of like, oh yeah, let's party, and then the next day we play football, whatever. Maybe it's because it's a team sport, and I guess I'm not holding myself up on these small tires. I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
if you're hungover on a bike, it's not fun, not a good time.
Oh yeah, no,
So
not at all. I don't. It's not. Hungover is just not fun at all, especially
no,
like playing any sport. But we used to like we'd have two games on the weekend, and then on Sunday night, everyone would do Sunday fun day. We drink, go out, and then have class Monday and start training that evening. And it was just that's what you did, and that was the environment. And now I came here, and I had to learn how to rest, and it was a very hard skill to learn. Like on the weekends, we have a completely free weekend, and what are we going to do? And they're like, you rest. And I'm like, what? So I've gotten
yeah.
really good at watching a lot of Netflix and doing nothing. And it's definitely a skill.
Well, yeah, like, and so diving into that, because like it's really funny having that conversation with somebody else that's played like a sport, like besides cycling, because
A sport, yeah.
well, it's just like it seems very well
Cycling
known.
sport.
I know, but it seems very well known in the sense that like, you know, we do things the next day. Whereas like sprinters, they won't even walk to the grocery store morning of the race. Like that's like,
Mm-hmm.
don't be on the
Yeah,
legs.
don't
Like,
walk. Yeah.
yeah, like
What are you doing?
yeah, because I remember one of my first like Pan Ams that I went to. Like I wanted, because everything's out of the way. Like you'll have like snacks and things like in the velodrome, which is like behind the hotel, and you know what I'm talking about. It's like you have to walk and you have to go into your locker and get it all. You have to walk down 10 flights of stairs to get there. And I remember like one of the soigneurs, or like one of the people that was helping the team, one of the mechanics or whatever, he's like, what are you doing? It's Polish, big Polish man. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, going to get some snacks. And he's just like, no, you go to the room, I get your snacks, I get what you need. And I didn't
Like,
understand it.
whoa.
And like I was getting yelled at all week for standing, for walking. It was the biggest deal ever. And I was thinking to myself, like, fuck, if I was a sprinter, I'd not be able to handle this, because they're even harder on them. So like, how was that adjustment for you coming into the sport?
Yeah. Well, I just the Swaniard, or like at racing, I'm like, oh, I'm out of water. I'm gonna go get some water. And they're like, no, 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 sit. Like, I'll go get you water. I'm like, what? I have two legs. I'm
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah,
capable of
for
walking
sure.
through water. And like now I'm like, I need water. Like I'm so needy.
You're
But
so
it makes the sport comes down to a hundredth of a second, and like
yeah.
every little thing matters. And so it's just, yeah, you got to be careful with it.
Okay. Well, cool. So I got two questions for you.
Okay.
So this question is, I guess, mainly for all the ladies coming into the sport, all the ladies that don't ride bikes, which I'm assuming if you don't ride bikes, you're probably not listening to this podcast, but I hope you are. And so like somebody that's showing interest maybe into the sport, like what's your kind of feedback and kind of push to tell them to get into the sport? Because you kind of had an unconventional way of getting into the sport, in the sense of you played soccer and then you just did it. Like, I'm assuming it wasn't easy, because cycling can be a very tough bunch of people, especially on the track when you're messing up a warm up and you're messing up everybody
Mhm.
else's training. We can be pretty harsh.
Yeah.
And it's also like, if you crash us, that's not a good day. So what's your kind of like words of encouragement, maybe somebody that's trying to come into the sport, what would you have to say to them?
Wow. Yeah, cycling is a weird sport, and cyclists are a different breed of athletes for sure. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer this question. It was really tough at the beginning, and
Yeah.
I remember like doing rollers or standing starts or even a warm up. I couldn't even do the warm up with the team, and it wasn't from lack of trying. I was going all out 100% doing my best, but I just physically couldn't spin my legs at that speed. Or like a standing start, I'd go all out, but I'd be going so slow compared to everyone else, and it's just so frustrating because in other sports, if you work hard, you're able to get better at it, or
Yeah.
like quite quickly. And it definitely takes a while. Like technique was such a big thing. And yeah, it's an individual sport. And if you come from a team sport, everyone's working towards a common goal, where in individual sport, everyone's kind of out there for themselves. And like there's a lot, like everyone's super supportive and people want you to join cycling and be involved in cycling. But you just have to put yourself out there, ask the questions. Don't be afraid to get yelled at if you miss someone's warm up, or if you're asking stupid questions about gears, just ask, because everyone went through that. Everyone was lost at some point. Yeah, I mean, if cycling is something you want to try and do, get a good chamois, number one. Don't wear underwear under the chamois, and get chamois cream, which are 3 things that I wasn't taught to me at the beginning, but those are key. And
That's where
just
we do our chamois butter plug right there, and the fact that they need
yeah,
chamois cream. Yeah.
yeah, get good chamois cream. I mean, it's gonna be tough, and it's a different culture. But if you like working hard, if you like going faster than running down the road, then biking's definitely for you. It's a great workout. It's easy on the joints if you're not a sprinter and lifting really heavy weights like myself. But yeah, it's I mean, yeah.
It's like myself.
Yeah.
She kind of
Threw it
did
in there.
flex.
Threw in the compliment.
If you're not actually watching the podcast, she did kind of flex when she said that.
Yeah,
So
no, I did. I
now,
definitely did.
last question. We ask everybody this, and I try to never prep somebody for this because I think it's really interesting to hear what they say on the spot. So we are Coffee and Van Chats podcast. So the question is, if you could have a cup of coffee with one individual, dead or alive, how would you take your coffee? And if you feel like that individual probably wouldn't want coffee, because some people are like, well, this person would want to have a Guinness with me, so I would have a Guinness. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Then it could be any drink, but coffee per se. How would you take your coffee? Who would it be and why?
Okay, I'm having a latte or a latte. I'm having a latte. This is tough. My favorite person back in the day, or like I see him in movies and I love him, is Jim Carrey.
Okay.
And he's kind of taken a turn and gotten a little political and is different now, but I guess I probably want to have a cup of coffee with Jim Carrey.
I was
And I don't
expecting you
know
to say a
how
comedian of some
really.
sort. Yeah, like I was expecting you to say like Amy Schumer or like some comedian that you would just think is hilarious, and then you would just probably make some funny video with. But that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, that'd be the goal out of all of it. It'd be coffee with Kelsey and Jim. So
yeah. And you guys start your own podcast, Coffee with Kelsey and
yeah,
Jim. There you go. Well, cool guys. Well,
it really
thanks.
takes off.
Yeah. Well, thanks again so much for doing this. Guys, if you haven't already, please go check out Kelsey's social media. I'll put down a link in the description below. Other than that, I wish you luck in training. I hope you guys are able to smash watermelons in between your legs. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, they posted a video about that too. They're still working on it. And it might take them to Olympic gold. Other than that, guys, thanks again. See ya.